Success is neither magical nor mysterious. Success is the natural consequence of constantly applying the fundamentals. That is a quote by Jim Rohn, and it's also said that champions are brilliant at the basics. Hello and welcome to the Growth Mindset Podcast. Today we are discussing Andrew Huberman's 5 rules for a better life. Now, these are the pillars of being a human, just the core necessities to be healthy, happy, and an optimally functioning human. It doesn't go into anything fancy or ridiculous, and if you mess up these 5 fundamentals, you have no chance of doing anything advanced, and so it's always important to apply the basics. Now, number 1, and the most important, hence being number 1, is good sleep. Most people do need 7 to 8 hours of sleep every night. Some people might need 9, some people might need 6. You're more likely to be struck by lightning than being a person that naturally only needs 4 hours sleep a night. So if you are getting hardly any sleep, there is really a major issue. It doesn't matter what time you go to sleep. You might be someone that goes to sleep at 4 a.m. You might be someone that goes to sleep at 8 p.m. There's lots of things around success about getting up at 5 a.m. It doesn't really matter. What actually works for your body type is really what's more important, as long as you're getting enough quality sleep. For me, I need 7 to 7.5 hours sleep. And if I do that every day, I just feel so good. My brain works much better and I'm a much nicer human to be around. Sleep is super important. If you're younger, you might need slightly more of it. But if you're getting bad sleep, all the other things you might be doing for your health are just never going to work as well without it. Your recovery, your memory, and general functioning all depend on good sleep. Now, number 2, movement. You want to be at least going for a walk every day for at least an hour. And ideally, you want to be doing something more vigorous. Now, it could be skateboarding, it could be dancing, it could be yoga. And sometimes you want to really get your heart rate up and do something like maximum heart rate for 60 seconds with some interval training. But starting with the basics, just 1 hour of simple movement every day. As long as you enjoy it, that's the more important thing than what it actually is. And as you get healthier, then try and throw in some much harder resistance training now and then to make sure that your heart rate is going up and you're making your breathing a bit more uncomfortable for some amount of that time. Maintaining your cardiovascular health just will really help the rest of your brain and body function and help you get good sleep. And it's okay if one day you don't get enough. If you sometimes mess up, it doesn't matter as long as you get back on it and do some exercise the next day. And it's the same for sleep. Sometimes you aren't going to have enough time to sleep for some reason, but try and get it back and you'll be fine. If you're traveling, you're in a hotel, if you can just do some burpees or walking, it's okay. You don't have to go to the gym to exercise. As long as you're doing something, you're all good. Third one, sunlight. Now, it's great to get some sunlight in your eyes every day, and ideally, you want to be getting this done in the morning just after you wake up, because that really helps with your general sleeping patterns. Is if you get some bright light on you just after you wake up, it just really helps the whole hormones and status of your body. If you live somewhere where the sun doesn't rise when you wake up, you might want to try switching on some very bright lights first thing to really let the body know that this is the wake up time and get your hormones flowing in the right direction, clear out the sleep ones, and start your day right. And equally, as you're winding down for nighttime, you want to start limiting your sunlight exposure and bright light exposure. And you can try things like having red lights or wearing the glasses that sort of block blue light if you're going to be using technology. And just before you go to bed for the last hour, avoiding screens altogether. Number 4, diet. What's interesting here is that Andrew Huberman doesn't care what diet you follow in terms of being a vegan, a vegetarian, an omnivore, a carnivore. What's much more important is how processed is the food that you eat. And you really want to have 75 to 80% food that is not processed at all, as in real vegetables, real cuts of meat, real dairy food without stuff happening to it, not ready meals and junk food. And will just help your body function better, your brain function better, it'll help your sleep, and it'll just help your gut. And everything just works much better when you have healthier food that hasn't been processed, which will usually require perhaps doing some cooking yourself and some work, as opposed to buying instant ready-made things. Of course, how much protein you get in your diet is very important. And if you're someone who is underweight or overweight, you really do want to factor that in to start getting to a healthier weight. The very simple rule is just how processed is your food. And something that I love is the rule from Nassim Nicholas Taleb, which is if your great grandmother wouldn't know what it is, probably you just shouldn't eat it. And that way life is easier. Also, the timings of your meals, There's loads of stuff around like fasting and like whether you should eat all your food in 1 hour of the day and certain 8 hours of the day. It might be better to try and restrict your food a little bit timings wise, but ultimately try and listen to your body in terms of when feels healthy and not overeating. Certainly some evidence that eating too much food just before you go to sleep can have some impacts on your quality of your sleep. And also depending on men or women, like men find it easier to fast and exercise, whereas with women, fasting before they exercise sometimes doesn't have the same effects. But really, it's something that you should just test and do what makes you feel good. Some people, 3 meals a day, the normal way is fine. Other people, not at all. Usually snacking too much is probably a bad thing. But if it's just fruit, maybe it's okay. Important thing is not too much processed food. And finally, now that we've spoken about like the basic ways of treating your human body itself, we also want to think about your human mind and your social connections. And it's so important to have good social connections, people that you can really connect with and you feel understand you as a human and that you relate to in healthy, constructive ways. Now, ideally, like even if you're talking to people online, you just want to come across like you're a loving, nice person, which sounds a bit like airy-fairy, but it just genuinely makes you feel nicer. Then the other important thing is to just really nurture the friendships around you and make sure that you just have some very close connections. It's been shown that like we are lonelier than ever and that the average middle-aged male has less than one connection that they can go to in a real time of stress and need. And as we do become more nomadic and like have our jobs away from lots of other people, we do need to find reasons to actually go and meet other people, which is certainly something that I've just discovered now that I've moved to Amsterdam, where I work online entirely and I have a partner, so I live with her and I have no reason to meet anyone unless I do something myself about it, as I don't have any friends here. So I have suddenly started feeling lonely. I'm like, oh crap, I actually have to do something. But wherever you are, you require some social connection because you're a human and that is a core need. And you're never going to perform optimally if you're feeling very lonely or misunderstood. There's a reason that social confinement is a form of torture because it is not pleasant. So you're never going to be happy without some social connections. And that might not be easy to swallow, but you have to do something about it. Okay? And the final bonus one is just hydration. You just have to be hydrated. Otherwise, you're not going to be healthy again. It's kind of a bit like sleep. It's a bit more obvious because people just generally drink anyway. But often we don't think so much about like the electrolytes and how much water we're drinking each day. We just kind of drink a bit when we're thirsty. But you'll really notice that your performance will start to like veer off course if you are thirstier than you should be. And also, you might well find yourself eating more food because you're thirsty rather than when you're hungry. So if you're always hydrated, you're less likely to be prone to snacking on things which actually aren't what you need. You just need something in your body, and that's water. So some very important and core principles from Andrew Huberman that really just cover the basics of living a better life. And without them, if you mess them up, you're never going to be able to do the fancy stuff. There's no point taking ice baths if you didn't have enough sleep and you're not hydrated enough. Like all of these jazzy things, making the perfect optimized calendar to get your work done without seeing any friends will ultimately lead to burnout. These are all things you have to get right. And there's a great quote saying that if you spend too much time learning the tricks of the trade, you might never learn the trade. There are no shortcuts. If you're working on finding a shortcut, the easy way, you're not working hard enough on the fundamentals. You may get away with it for a spell, but there's no substitute for the basics. And the first basic is good old-fashioned hard work. And if you want to get the principles of your health, your happiness, and your productivity right, those are the basics you have to get right. And you have to work on them first before you can start working on improving your business or whatever it is that you want to succeed at. And simply put, if you forget the basics, the specifics won't work. And on that, thank you for listening. Please drop a comment and a good rating wherever possible. And remember that life is to be enjoyed, and that starts with enjoying today. So be kind to yourself, and whilst you're at it, be kind to someone else too. Thank you so much for listening.
Go you!
Your consistency to reach the end of an episode is legendary.
My hero!
If you have any ideas or feedback for the show, I'm always interested to hear from you.
You're the best!
Studies show we need time for information to sink in, so I'm going to give you a 5-second pause, silence, to reflect on one idea from the show before you jump back into your busy life. Ready and go.